Welcome inside the State Champs Sports Network studio in Southfield, Michigan for another installment of the State Champs Summer Series powered by Lawrence Technological University. I'm your host, Lauren Plant. Now, as a high school football super fan, the state of Michigan has produced some incredible running backs. Household names like Jerome Bettis, Tyrone Wheatley, just to name a few. But all of those guys were prior to the last 25 years. From 1992 through present day, the State Champs team has put together what we believe are the top 25 running backs of the last 25 years. These guys terrified defenses all over the state. Everybody's got their favorites. These are ours. Let the countdown begin. We start our countdown with number 25, Valdez Showers, Madison Heights, Madison. Besides one of the greatest names in Michigan high school history, Showers ran through the OAA in the late 2000s. A transfer from East English Village and forced to sit for a year, Valdez burst on the scene when given the opportunity. Skilled on both sides of the ball as a back, Showers rushed for over 1,500 yards as a junior, over 2,000 and nearly 30 touchdowns his senior year.
I still run into guys, across the state right now, coaches, that, man, hey, I never saw a guy like Valdez Showers. He was just a showcase in itself.
Recruited by Florida for his defensive prowess, Valdez did damage as a safety for the Gators, signed as a free agent with the Washington Redskins in 2016 as a wide receiver. He's back on the market. Number 24 is a guy who has found recent success in the NFL. Lions fans know all about current Seattle Seahawk Thomas Rawls, who ran over Detroit in the playoffs. But in high school, Rawls represented Flint Northern in 2010, rushing for nearly 1,600 yards with 19 touchdowns on 150 carries. Showing flashes of what had become, this included a 400-yard effort as a senior. Rawls started at Michigan before transferring to Central Michigan. Our 23rd ranked running back in our list carried the load for Romulus in the mid to late 90s. Fred Russell, over 5,000 yards rushing over the course of his high school career. Russell rumbled for 85 touchdowns.
He was another one that was a kick returner, and it was good out of the backfield too, catching little swing passes. So I think, he was that speed back, could bust one, but also could run between the tackles.
In 1998, nearly 2,500 yards and 44 TDs. That's sixth all-time in MHSAA history. Fred the Hustle Russell went on to Iowa and had a brief stint with the St. Louis Rams. Our first of four guys who carry the surname Williams comes in at number 22. Our first multiple state champion led the way for legendary Farmington Hills Harrison in the mid-90s. One of Oakland County's most bruising ball carriers, Nick Williams, bowled over the competition, and the Hawks won titles in 1993 and 94.
When he came to us as a freshman, we call him Dancing Bear. That was his nickname. He's kind of a pudgy kid and everything, but we could see the potential in him.
I just remember watching him in the state finals with that 99-yard trap play up inside.
I don't think he ran that far before, but he was a good one.
Big guy, so explosive for his size, so athletic and fast.
He was about, I think, maybe 220 when he played for us. That's big for a high school back, and had good lateral movement and everything. I used to kid him that he couldn't block, so he ends up going to Miami and is a blocking back for Edgar and James for like 3 years.
A fifth-round draft pick in 1999, Nick Williams had stints with Cincinnati, Green Bay, and Baltimore. Coming in at number 21, the first of two backs that ran in the PSL for Detroit King. From 2009 through 2011, Dennis Norfleet could beat you in several ways.
Dennis Norfleet, pound for pound, he was the best around.
I first saw him playing middle school basketball, actually against my son. He was in the 8th grade, my son was in the 7th grade, and I was like, it's a grown man out there playing with kids. Even though he wasn't that big, he was just explosive.
I was doing Little League, and he was playing for a program called the Westside Rams. And that was the first time I was able to see him at 13 years old. And I was like, wow, this kid here is phenomenal. They gave him a nickname by the name of Wisconsin, because that's where he comes from.
In 2011, Northfleet rushed for over 2,000 yards with 27 touchdowns. Crusaders nearly advanced to their second state final in 5 years, primarily because of Northfleet.
He was lightning fast. I remember first series of the game against them, we stopped him first play, stopped him second play, and third play he's 55 yards to the house.
You can't grab his flag, let alone tackle the kid. I mean, unless you're surrounding him, you give him any open space and he is going to exploit it like nobody's business.
He broke a stadium record on us, like 100 yards. Our kids thought it was a touchback. He picked it up on the inch line and returned it. You know, just a risk taker. You know, didn't mind taking the gamble, and he would bail his team out every time. Dennis just had that attitude. He just had that attitude of, you know, he refused to lose, he was going to win.
Dennis went on to play at Michigan before finishing at Tuskegee. Northfleet is currently seeking a roster spot in the Canadian Football League. At number 20, already our fourth back that would play in the NFL on Sundays, and much like Rawls, former Westland John Glenn running back Jeremy Langford is doing it at the next level. In the mid to late 2000s at Glenn, Langford racked up 6 200-yard games and 2 300-yard games. As a senior, he finished with just under 2,000 yards and 24 TDs on 205 carries.
He needs less to get more. You know, all he needs is a little sliver of daylight right there, just a little one arm tackle instead of getting your body on him and a couple of arms and wrapping him up. Even those, he'd run through those. But that's why he's so special.
What we did with this list is, okay, what did they do in high school? Okay, they played for this school, they had this many yards, they went this far in the playoffs. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, how well did they do in the college ranks? Did they go on? Did they, justify their numbers in high school by being as good or maybe even better sometimes in college?
Jeremy made his name in the heyday at Michigan State and is currently securing a spot for his third season with the Chicago Bears. When we come back, our countdown reveals the 10th through the 19th top running backs over the past 2.5 decades. Some were the greatest in their school's history. Others had the league in the future. Stick around. State Champs 25 in 25. We'll be right back.
I want to be a dermatologist, and though a lot of universities tried to recruit me for basketball, Lawrence Tech had the science curriculum that I wanted. LTU's Southfield campus is a great place to learn, and the classes are small enough that I don't have to wait for office hours to talk to my professors. They're usually right by my side, challenging me and guiding me toward a successful future. Lawrence Tech, possible is everything.
There's an old saying, you can never have too many officials. The age of the average official is 52 and getting older all the time. We're constantly recruiting new people, younger people to join us. After you register with the MHSAA, look on the website to find an officials association near you. They'll put you in a position to succeed as an official. We all learned a lot from high school sports, and officiating is a great way to give back to the game. There's help wanted, just whistle.
Touchdown, Falcons.
Welcome back to State Champs Top 25 running backs over the past 25 years. Let's get back to the countdown. Number 19 on our list takes us back to the Detroit area in the 90s. River Rouge running back Chester Taylor was a force. Before he set records for rushing yards and touchdowns at the University of Toledo, Chester was the man in the mega conference. 2,500 career rushing yards. Taylor ran for 1,300 with 21 scores his senior campaign.
All-purpose back. Wasn't real fancy at anything, but was good at everything.
He had the power of a fullback, the takeaway and runaway speed as a scat back, somebody can make you miss. So he definitely had a very huge combination of speed and power.
He could do it all. I mean, wasn't super big, wasn't super fast, but one of the most durable backs, that you ever witnessed.
A 6th-round NFL draft pick, the man known as Tay had a near 10-year pro career with Baltimore, Minnesota, Chicago, and Arizona. Let's go west for the 18th best back in the past 25 years, an All-American at Portage Northern, Kelly Baraka, a track star who in 2000 set the state record beating Charles Rogers in the 100-yard dash. Flat out one of the top 20 prospects in the country.
Made it look so easy. Just looked, when he was running, it looked like he was gliding and just could, just had that ability to make people miss.
In his first game as a junior, he ran for 149 yards on 18 carries, caught 3 passes, returned a 64-yard punt for a touchdown, plus made 9 tackles on defense, all in the first half. Despite the hype, Baraka never made it at Michigan, finished his football days with some Joliet Junior College and indoor ball under his belt. Back to the Detroit Public School League and our second runner who made his high school living in the King backfield. Darren Williams led the Crusaders to their first state championship in 2007. During his senior campaign, Darren totaled nearly 3,000 yards.
Darren was a thorn in our side for 4 years. I don't believe we beat Darren the 4 years he was there. He was a small guy that played the game like he was 6 foot, 220 pounds.
I coached against him quite a few times, and it would always leave me scratching my head a lot of times. Just, look, man, y'all, I'm wrapping up. We were trying to wrap up, but like I said, he was just that strong.
D-dog is what they called him. He was a dog. That's what he was, yeah.
Check this Crusader career. 714 carries, 6,000 yards, 56 touchdowns in high school. Injuries cut short some promising college years for Darren at Cincinnati. Number 16 goes to the Flint area and our only running back who carried the ball for 2 different high schools. You might recognize the name Mark Ingram. In the mid-2000s, he combined for over 2,500 yards and 38 touchdowns for Grand Blanc and Flint Southwestern. It was his senior year at Southwestern that got the attention of college scouts. In his first game, 319 yards and 4 touchdowns. Of course, Ingram went on to win the Heisman Trophy and win a national championship at Alabama. He currently runs the rock for the New Orleans Saints. Our last of the Williams checks in at number 15. Cass Tech All-American Clarence Williams was a technician in the early 90s. After a decade of mostly mediocre seasons at Cass Tech, Clarence led CT to a 9-0 record in '94 before falling by a single point in the playoffs to Warren De La Salle. 190 carries, 1,300 yards, 20 touchdowns.
He took a kickoff return and he was like a blur. He didn't fake anything. He hit straight up the middle. He was gone. I mean, by the time you realized that, hey, he's gonna break it, it was almost like he was crossing the end zone. Man, he must have did that in 8 seconds. He was lightning fast.
He was just so explosive. He'd take a simple pitch and make one cut, and he'd take it 80 yards in like 7 seconds. It was ridiculous.
He was elusive with the football. Very, very hard to game plan for us. And then just watching him, it wasn't just us that couldn't stop him. I mean, the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan had trouble with that guy.
Clarence was part of an 800 relay team that still holds the D1 record. Williams went on to a great career at Michigan and a cup of coffee with the Arizona Cardinals. Our first private school tailback checks in at number 14, also happens to be our only Super Bowl champion. From Detroit Country Day, Jonas Gray. This U.S. Army All-American rushed for over 200 yards in 5 games his senior year, over 2,600 yards on 314 carries, 32 touchdowns, leading the Yellow Jackets to the state title game. He finished his career with 70 touchdowns.
I can remember one of the recruiters came through the school and said, that guy will be playing on Sunday, when he saw him as a freshman. So he had the physical stature, but he had also a combination of speed and power. You know, if he had a crease, he could go all the way.
I thought he was just a complete monster. You put on the film and he's just rattling off long runs. He was, you know, he's 220 pounds. He's running over you, he's running around you. It was just something that would keep you up at night.
Every play is a potential touchdown play. We knew Jonas was a perimeter edge running guy, and you couldn't let him outside, and we tried our best to bottle him up.
We called him a home run hitter. You gave him a crease, and he could take it all the way. And he was physical. He ran hard between the tackles.
Everybody in the stadium knew who was getting the ball on 2nd and short or 3rd and 1. Everybody knew where the ball was going. We just had to stop it.
Jonas took his talent to Notre Dame and then went on to play for 4 different NFL franchises. He earned a Super Bowl ring with the 2014 New England Patriots and is our only back on this list that can claim the cover of Sports Illustrated. At number 13, one of 2 guys who shared the same backfield while at Kalamazoo Lloyd Norrix High School. Like Valdez Showers, one of the best names we ever heard, Little John Flowers. Don't let the gentle name fool you. For example, in 1997 against Battle Creek Central, Little John had 28 carries for 443 yards in the game. That is 10th all time.
I like the competition he played. The Portage schools, both Portage Central and Portage Northern, are strong programs. So you play against that week to week and you produce, I like you.
He rushed for over 2,000 yards with 29 touchdowns his senior year and played his college ball at Michigan State. Back to Detroit for our 12th best running back in our top 25 in the last 25 years, Cooley High's Chris Floyd. This was the guy in the PSL in the early 90s. As a fullback, over 4,000 yards and 41 touchdowns in his high school career. As a senior, Floyd led the Cooley Cardinals with over 1,700 yards and 16 touchdowns.
He was the bread and butter for Cooley High School. Everybody talking about this kid on the west side, you know, big running back. He was a stud.
He was fast. So with all the muscles that he had and all the girth, he was still agile enough to find a hole. He was still fast enough that once he found a hole, to take it the distance, and if you was in his way, he would punish you.
Pound for pound, you know, when you watch this guy run, man, he wouldn't go down, you know what I'm saying, and you know, everybody would fall off of him, man, just because of the power back.
You knew he had NFL potential. You know, he was a 6 foot, 225-pound back that arrived to the game in a nasty move. You know, wanted to punish people, and he did out there with that football in his hand.
Floyd won a national championship with the Michigan Wolverines. A 3rd-round NFL draft pick, Floyd competed with New England and Cleveland. Checking in at number 11, our only halfback from the MAC Conference, Chippewa Valley's Chris Lamazny. During the late 90s, Lamazny tore it up for the Big Reds, including setting an MHSAA single-season rushing record, 2,890 yards. That record stood for more than a decade.
Real gritty running back, you know, durable too. You know, he was one of those backs who was not unusual, 28, 32, 35 carries in a game. And I don't remember him getting hurt too often. In fact, I think he was one of those backs, as I recall, he liked the contact. You know, that linebacker coming up, okay, let's see who's gonna win this battle.
His 41 touchdowns as a senior in 2000 ranks him 3rd all time. He played his college ball at Michigan Tech. Coming up, we reveal our top half of the state champs' top 10 running backs over the past 25 years. We're living 9 to 5 with some superlatives from the suburbs. Stick and stay. This is State Champs 25 in 25.
My passion is architecture. I don't want to sit around passively studying. I need to create. In our architecture studios at Lawrence Tech, we collaborate with students, faculty, and professionals from around the world. And from day one, we design using the same industry standard software that architecture firms use. I really feel like I'm designing my own future here. Lawrence Tech. Possible is everything.
Sports give so many opportunities to kids. It gives them an opportunity to see where they fit within a team, persevere, understanding how to work with different personalities. Those are the lessons that will make you a successful adult. As a mom, you have to have an understanding of what concussions are.
Concussions are things that are treatable. If we take care of athletes, they will be able to develop and have a long, happy, healthy life.
CHAMPS is Metro Detroit's original Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealer, and we're still making the best deals every day.
During the summer clearance event, lease a Ram Crew Cab 4x4 as low as $189 a month, or a 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee for just $249.
Sales service and a superior buying experience. That's CHAMPS on Telegraph Road in Redford.
CHAMPS, Metro Detroit's original. CHAMPS.
Welcome back to State Champs Countdown of the top 25 running backs from the last 25 years. It's top 10 time. Number 10 on our list, and another Oakland County running back from Oak Park, John Kelly. Compacted 4.4, 540 speed, swift and serious. In 2014 and 2015, the Knights, with one of the toughest schedules in the state, the Mr. Football candidate Kelly played both ways, rushed for nearly 2,200 yards, 29 touchdowns.
I told Coach Carter, I said I would be at the graduation when he graduated to make sure he was out of there. He terrorized us for 3 years.
Kelly definitely let you know that he was the best player on the field each and every time Oak Park played.
John Kelly is at the University of Tennessee and took over as the starting tailback with over 600 yards rushing a season ago. He's expected to have a big 2017. At number 9, our only back from the last 2.5 decades repping the Detroit Catholic League. Perhaps the most dominant of any Shamrock era of football, Derek Brooks led Detroit Catholic Central to Division I state championships in 2001, 2002, and 2003. Over 5,000 yards rushing in his career, over 50 TDs.
Definitely a change of pace back for CC. CC was known for the guys with the neck rolls, downhill guys that were number 46, and this dude to make you miss, get out on the edge, and he's gone.
His ability to fit into a small gap and not break stride one bit just amazes me. He could, his footwork and his agility was amazing. He was one of the best high school running backs, and I tell people this all the time. He was one of the best high school running backs I've ever seen.
In the 2002 state title tilt, Brooks ran for 204 yards in the win over East Kentwood. He led the team in rushing for 3 seasons. Derek played his college football at Princeton. Number 8 is awarded to former Chelsea Bulldog Nick Hill. Nick the Quick was all everything in the late 2000s. Top 10 all-time in career yards, Nick gained nearly 7,000. He is 5th all-time with 98 career rushing touchdowns and in total touchdowns with 104. 33 TDs his senior year alone.
He was one of those guys that were very effective in the screen game. He was very effective in routes out of the backfield versus your linebackers, or he could take any run to the house. So he was very, very good player at the high school level. Nick Hill was a good one.
He was fast, explosive, hard to bring down. When you're small like that, you can hide and go.
Nick ran over 1,100 yards in his career at Michigan State. Our 7th-ranked running back did his damage to Southeastern Conference opponents a few years later, but at Ann Arbor Pioneer, Drake Johnson was both a terrifying tailback as well as a 2-time state champ hurdler on the track. 37 scores as a senior ranks Johnson 10th all-time, 2,809 yards his senior year, 9th all-time.
His yards per carry were outstanding. You get back to, you carry maybe 15, 18. He wasn't one of those 30 attempt type of running backs. He'd get to 15 to 20, and he'd get you that 150, that 180 and 3 touchdowns.
In 2011, 6 rushing touchdowns versus Ann Arbor Skyline. An injury-riddled career at Michigan, Drake is done with football. Number 6 gives us our only state champs Mr. Football winner from Oxford High School, Prescott Line. Following in the footsteps of his brother Zach Line, Prescott put the power in power back. His senior campaign 2011, incredible. A two-way player, 2,454 yards, 38 touchdowns, 364 carries. A parade All-American, he was also a 2-time state champ wrestler.
Guy that would just frustrate you because he would get 4 yards. You'd think he had to stop, there'd be another 4 yards. Bud always on 4th down would give it to him in his own territory, it didn't matter, and he'd get the 1st down. He could go through a hole, I swear, that was 6 inches wide in that off-tackle hole and they just explode. And he was a great linebacker too.
Here's a player excelling running the ball in Bud Raleigh's offense. It was just as a smash mouth type of offense. Granted, there was some option attack to it, but to play linebacker as well as he did and then come back and carry the ball. A phenomenal athlete as far as a football player.
Prescott joined his brother at SMU in Texas before finishing his college career at Michigan State. Our 5th best running back over the past 25 years is a small school legend. Touchdown Timmy Shaw from Livonia, Clarenceville. Following his senior year in 2001, Shaw was the first player to score more than 100 touchdowns. He had 114. 51 TDs as a senior is 4th all-time, 48 scores as a junior ranks 5th, nearly 7,900 yards is 3rd in MHSAA history.
I never heard of Clarenceville, but I kept hearing Tim Shaw with Clarenceville, and so I had to watch him, and it was in the state championship, and just watching this guy, man, just, ruling people, man. He was a giant out there, man.
We had about 9 Division I guys on our defense going up against Tim Shaw, and just watching him the weeks leading up to the playoffs, it was like watching a highlight tape live. The game came down to 2 plays that he had to make, and he made both of them. Kind of deceptive draw plays, we over-pursued it, and he got a crease. And once he got a crease, it's like 6 inches of daylight. That's all he needed. He took it the distance. And even though he was a defensive player in college, he was one of the toughest running backs we've ever faced in my 18 years of coaching.
I had a chance to meet him, and I'm like, that kid's a high school kid? I mean, he was just so physically well built. He stuck out like a sore thumb. He's tall, everybody else is short. He's big, everybody else is skinny. And this is in the whole camp. He just stood out in the whole camp. And when he ran, the knee lift, the smoothness, the glide, everything just seemed effortless.
The guy could play every position, and when he played, he could probably literally play both sides of the ball at the same time because he could use that fast. I mean, he just was a unique, special athlete.
Clarenceville made its only state final appearance in Shaw's senior year. He was great at Penn State and was drafted in the 5th round by the Carolina Panthers. Shaw had a long NFL career, but was forced to retire in 2014 after being diagnosed with ALS. Who is the #1 high school running back over the past 25 years from the state of Michigan? The answer next, when State Champs 25 in 25 concludes. Don't go anywhere.
At Sparrow, we find ways to improve healthcare for our community. That's why we're Michigan's first member of the Mayo Clinic Care Network. Advancing knowledge, innovative teamwork, and shared expertise are in the company you keep. Choose wisely. Choose Sparrow.
I want a career in robotics and automation, so I chose Lawrence Tech for its first in Michigan robotics engineering program. LTU's brand new STEM complex has a robotics lab where we can design, build, and program robots in a creative atmosphere. And the best thing is, I haven't graduated yet, but I already have a job in my field. I know I made the right choice for my career. Lawrence Tech, possible is everything.
Get ready! The high school football season will be here before you know it. The Zenith Prep Kickoff Classic returns to Midtown Detroit on the campus of Wayne State University August 24th through the 26th. Michigan's premier season-opening prep football event, now in its 13th year, will welcome 7 games in 3 days and feature the state's top teams and players. Log on to DetroitSports.org for more information. The Prep Kickoff Classic. Tickets on sale now. You gotta be there.
At Sparrow, you get the finest cancer care from the region's most trusted health system. As a member of the Mayo Clinic Care Network, we can connect with the Mayo Clinic for complex cancer cases, keeping your care close to home. Choose wisely. Choose Sparrow.
Welcome back to State Champs Top 25 running backs over the past 25 years. We've counted down from 25 to 5. Who cracked the final 4? Let's find out. Number 4, from Kalamazoo Loy Norix, T.J. Duckett. Duckett shared the backfield with our number 13th ranked back, Little John Flowers, but this All-American was the man in high school before he was the man at Michigan State. As a junior, 2,000 yards, 20 TDs, but in 1998, National Player of the Year by Parade Magazine and Rivals. 1,623 yards his senior year, 21 touchdowns, over 11 yards a carry. He even threw for nearly 1,000 yards, and of course, he dominated on defense.
The original beast mode. I mean, just big, fast, athletic, and strong. You know, never seen 1 or 2 guys get him to the ground. I never seen him stopped on initial contact. Always falling forward for those additional yards. Tough football player.
He combined the athleticism of a running back with the strength of being a shot putter, and you know, he was phenomenal.
A state champ in track, and after a legendary career at Michigan State, a first-round draft pick by the Atlanta Falcons in 2002. Duckett competed for 4 NFL teams over a 7-year career. Our only running back hailing from the Lansing area is our 3rd top running back in the last 25 years, East Lansing's Randy Kinder. The Trojans won the state championship with Kinder as a junior. Kinder rushed for a then-state record 2,464 yards as a senior. East Lansing advanced to the state semis due to Kinder's 34 touchdowns. He was an All-American and a track standout.
One of the really pure running backs, and a strong kid too, about 6'2", 190, 195. So, you know, he could take on linebackers.
Kinder wound up at Notre Dame, where he twice led the Fighting Irish in rushing. He's 9th all-time for the Golden Domers with nearly 2,500 career yards. A brief but exciting NFL career with Philadelphia and Green Bay. He won an NFC championship with the Packers in 1997. What can you say about our number 2 ranked running back? Dominant, dangerous, destructive, from Cass Tech, Mike Weber.
Old Testament, you know, I'm thinking back to when I was in the 8th grade going to high school when Jerome Bettis and Aaron Hayden and Dwayne Goldburn and them guys were running the ball. He's old school. Mike, to me, is the best back in the last 25 years. I mean, I've watched him get stronger as the game goes on. You know, he's a guy that can carry the ball 25, 30 times and get better with each and every carry.
During the game, we put Mike and this is the truth because you look at the film, Mike Weber laid on the ground 3 times. All 3 times Mike Weber got up and went out and came back in the game. It was 3rd down. We know what the play gonna be. Same play they've been running all day. It's just that they have a great player and it was hard for us to stop them. They gave Mike Weber the ball again. And I swear, I had like 11 people over there, maybe 15. And it just, the quarterback just, I think it was Jay Rue just handing the ball. Mike took the ball, planted, and ran straight up the field, ran over somebody and scored. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, we literally played the best we could possibly play because we put our hats on him the whole game. It was very physical. I was very proud of my guys, but he was still Superman and won the game for him that day. that cemented everything. It was unbelievable.
We was losing 7-0 at the half. And from my understanding that Mike Weber was at halftime was complaining because he wasn't getting the ball enough. And so he ran the ball the second half. And it was his junior year. And I remember on a sweep, and he came around the corner and he's going down the line, and he met with my safety. And you know, he hit the safety so hard, his neck whipped back, you know. And he wound up scoring. And a few plays later, you know, they did the same play. And it seemed as though my whole football team just kind of just went after his legs and gave him a pass just to run down the line, man. But he, by far, to me, was the best running back that I've coached against and have seen.
We went in game planning the fact that we were going to try to stop Mike Weber, and obviously we couldn't. That combination of size and speed, I think, just shocked us, because he was a lot faster than we thought, and he was a lot bigger and stronger than we thought, and he put it to us pretty good. Playing in the Central Division, you see a lot of good talent, and then playing the non-league schedule we play, you see a ton of talent as well. But he is definitely one of the best that I have seen.
Mikey Weber, when he graduated, I was so happy. I mean, that guy, that Ford Field game we played a couple years ago, I mean, he had to run for about 350 yards.
To see a guy in shirt and shorts literally run past a linebacker and catch a ball right up the middle of the field was like, whoa. You know, these guys are in a shirt and shorts right now. He's running past everyone as if it's easy. And this is a running back here. You usually see that from receivers in 7-on-7, not running backs.
The 2014 state champs Mr. Football runner-up Weber was a workhorse. His senior season, 224 carries, averaging over 10 yards a carry, nearly 2,300 yards, 29 touchdowns. Just in the playoffs, he ran for under 900 total yards, 13 TDs. 2017 should truly be a breakout year for Weber at Ohio State. His ceiling could be an incredible career in the NFL. Time to reveal the state champs' #1 running back over the past 25 years. To the west side of the state we go. The state champs' #1 running back in the past 25 years, a multiple state champ who just so happens to hold the rank as numero uno in Michigan high school history in a variety of categories. From East Grand Rapids, Kevin Brady Jr.
He was the show, he was the game. I mean, it was give him the ball, he's gonna go ahead, break tackles, run, jump over people, he could go.
He was the first guy that I seen master the spin move and the stiff arm. You know, a lot of guys want to drop your shoulders and run through guys. Kev didn't want to be touched. And you know, I respected his game a lot for what he was able to do in the offense that he played in, and just to get his team to back-to-back state championship games was impressive as well.
Job of the first guy that got to him was to slow him down, hopefully, so that the next two that would come up would hopefully corral him. I always thought that he was that type of back. Forget about the first hit. That was, he's breaking that tackle every time.
Get this, 1,154 carries, 8,431 career rushing yards, 151 total touchdowns in high school. That is all #1 in the state all time. 24 consecutive 100-yard rushing games. State champion in 2002 and 2003.
At that time, I was a freshman coach, but helping out with the varsity staff, and I was up in the booth on game nights, and I remember game planning for him all week and going, this kid's, he's a man among boys. I mean, he had, his legs were the size of our linemen, and he's carrying the football. We held him in check pretty good the first half. I mean, he still got his yards, don't get me wrong, but in the second half, he was a totally different human being, it seemed like. We had no answer for him, and our kids were gassed at halftime, and he just seemed to just started to hit his peak, and he just was stronger as the game went on. And credit to him, you know, he was just a strong human being, that's for sure.
Playing 8th grade football, and I remember just seeing him on the field as a practicing. And again, you just looked at this young man and he was imposing. Those legs that looked like, we called him Baby Earl Campbell, for those of you that remember Earl Campbell. He had those big legs and strength, and he had such a power and a burst even at that age.
That was the thing when I was little. Friday nights at the East game. At that time in my life, I didn't think there was any bigger stage than being able to be in there right over Reed's Lake, and then you got the whole community behind you watching the game. Definitely a special place. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
His first varsity game, he played Ottawa Hills against David Harris. He had 126 yards, 3 touchdowns, and met David Harris in the middle of a play on a linebacker fill play, and they met head on. And I thought, wow, we have something very unique here. He was in 9th grade. He was 211 pounds, 5'9", and had tremendous balance, tremendous power, tremendous agility. But he had an unbelievable desire to play hard, to play fast, to work hard.
Being number one is it's mind-blowing, actually. I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say. I can't take all the credit because, like I said, I had some great players and great teammates, great coaches who put me in a position. I had great parents who brought me up, gave me the drive and the hard-working mentality. Like I said, it's just the number of people who contributed to that, and like I said, I just want to say thanks to all of them because without you and them, it was impossible.
Kevin Grady Jr.'s 924 career points, nearly 100 points better than second place all time. Grady went on to play at the University of Michigan and a quick journey in arena football. Congratulations to Kevin Grady Jr., our #1 high school running back over the past 25 years from the state of Michigan. I'm sure there are many of you with strong opinions on this subject. Let us know your thoughts. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or email us at our contact page, statechampsnetwork.com. Thanks to our entire State Champs production team, everyone who participated, and most importantly, the best in the business, Tom Markowski. For the State Champs Summer Series, I'm Lauren Plant.